if your visa has been refused before, you realize that in your refusal letter, you see according to appendix 1.3, 2.4, 4.1, 4.6, that and that. What does that mean? So what it basically means that our applications are being measured against the rules and regulations of that country. Is that okay? That is what our applications are measured against when they are assessing our visa application. And I took my time to go through the UK standard visa application appendix. So that is from V4.1 to V4.6. Is that okay? But basically it's based on V4.2 to 4.6. And I'll explain that in this video. So next time when you are applying your standard visitor visa to the UK, you will know things that are expected of you to alter your application in order to increase your chances of getting your visa approval. Now, the immigration rules for visitor visa to the UK says that, okay, one, you have they have 4 categories of a visitor. Is that okay? So number 1 here is the temporary visit here. That is going to be a 6 months. Is that okay? So mostly it's up to the 6 months. And then the tourist, right? So the temporary visitor visa here is based on, let's say, 1 is tourism. 2, temporary visit visa is based on, let's say, distance. If you have a tourism, you are going for a tourism. 2, visiting a friend or family. 3, you are carrying out a business activities. 4 is going to undertaking a short courses. So these are the 4 categories that UK usually classify visitor under. Is that okay? So temporary visitors are mostly the maximum of a 6 months. You may get 2 years, 10 years, 5 years as a standard visa, and I'll explain that in this video later. Now, mostly there are 2 categories of those visitors. So we have a national visa national. Visa national countries are those countries that require visa for them. I believe most of us watching this video will fall under that category. So visa national, it means that you need a visa to enter the UK. You need the entry clearance to enter the UK. And then the non-visa countries are also there, the non-visa nationals, so they are also available. Now, here are 4 types of visitors. So we have the standard visitor, that is mostly you can get 6 months, 2 years, 5 years, as well as 10 years as a standard visa. But there are rules attaching to that. So let's say, luckily for you to have a 2 years standard visa to the UK, it means that the maximum that you can stay in that country is 6 months. So let's say you enter today, and then you can stay there up to 6 months, and then you have to be out and then re-enter again, provided that your visa is a multiple entry or dual entry. Is that okay? That is the point here. So you have to pay attention to some of these things. Now, you can also enter the country as let's say you are going for a marriage, right? So you are going to get married, right? So, or maybe a civil partnership. Is that okay? That is also classified under standard the visitor visa type, right? Or maybe a transit. You want to pass through a UK to a different country for your own personal issue. That one is also available. But for the transit visitor here, you have to make sure that, or you have to know that you cannot go beyond 48 hours of your stay in the UK, right? Because you are just passing by, right? You are just passing by the country. So and then the 4th one, you have the diplomatic visa arrangement, right? So that one you can also, according to the portal, right? According to the UK portal, you can have a 2 years validity. Is that okay? And then each stay, you can only stay in that country for, let's say, 6 months. You can't go beyond that. I know what you are waiting for. This is where most of us fall under. That is the standard visitor visa. Is that okay? So the standard one. So like going for a tourism or any other thing, visiting a family or friend, or you are going to undertake some small business activity. I'm not saying you are going to, you can't get paid in that country. I'll explain that later in this video. It's okay, as a standard visa, you cannot go and perform any paid activity as a visitor, right? So according to these are the rules that they use to access our application when they want to decide whether the visa will be given to you or denied. So according to Appendix 4.1, the decision maker must be satisfied that the applicant meets all the eligibility requirements in Appendix 4.2 to 4.6. Right? So what exactly those appendices are talking about here? So let's have a look at them. So Appendix 4.2 here is saying that. So Appendix 4.2 here is saying that genuine visitor requirements. This is by far the largest category that UK use to access our visitor visa. Is that okay? So pay a very, very close attention. If you don't understand something, you can comment down below. By the way, I'm not an immigration officer. Everything is based on experience. Is that okay? And then as a travel consultant with years of experience, we've seen a lot of refusal letters and success stories. So we are speaking from experience. Now, the 4.2, that is the V 4.2, says that if you have been refused before, go back and go and take your refusal letter and then check on that. So V 4.2 says that, right? So maybe this, if you're a Christian watching me, according to the 10 Commandments, maybe the first law says that, something like that. Is that okay? So the first law of the standard visitor visa to the UK says that, right? So to prove your genuineness of your country, or you are trying to enter the country in the legal way, it means that you must, first of all, you must satisfy the consular, or the consular must satisfy that, one, you leave the UK at the end, right? So you leave that country. It means that you have to return to your home country, wherever you are coming from. That is one thing. That is one thing the consular is. So how do you do that? So we've talked a lot about, there are so many videos on this platform that you can check if you want to know how to. That is also by saying how are you related to your home ties, right? So social and economic lifestyle. Is like anything to show that UK is not going to be your permanent home, you have to add that to your application. And then don't forget, you have to explain that in your cover letter. And then B says that you will not leave. It means that you are not going to make a permanent. The A and the B are almost similar, but it's slightly different. So you are not going to make a UK your permanent home, or you are not going to extend your period of stay if your visa has expired, right? So you have to prove that. You have to prove that in documentation. Any evidence, anything that you use to attach to your application to show that you are not going to stay in that country forever, you can do that. But don't just add the document to the application. After adding the document, you have to explain that in your explanatory letter or the cover letter. Say that this. Is that okay? Right? There was a one refusal letter. I think if you would have seen the short part of this video, you can see that there was a refusal letter posted over here. So the guy was saying he has a child. So the birth certificate was just attached to the application. So the visa officer was saying that the applicant did not demonstrate anything that shows that demonstration. To me, or per my experience, what it means that you have to prove some responsibility, not just the birth certificate to show that you have a child. You may have a child. What will happen if you are not the one taking care of the child? That is the question you should be asking yourself. So if you have visa application is all about evidence and then documentation. So if you have a document to prove that indeed you are a responsible parent to that child, you have to add that to the application. So that is telling the consular that you are going to return back. And then C also saying that genuinely seeking entry or stay for the purpose permitted. Is that okay? Let's say you are going for a tourism. So going for tourism, you have to prove that indeed where you are going, that is exactly the reason why you are applying for the visa. If you are going for a tourism, you have to show that, okay, I'm going to visit this site, that site, here and there, here and there. You have to add all those things to your application. You can reserve some tour centers and then add a ticket to the application. You can state that in your cover letter, provided that your bank statement supports the places that you have mentioned. So don't go for a luxury lifestyle. Don't go for a luxury lifestyle, provided that your bank statement support that. Is that okay? That is one. If you're also visiting a family, then you have to. I'll explain that. That is why you have to stay here to the end of the day. I'll explain that along the road. If you are visiting a family or you are going for medical purpose or something of that nature, is that okay? Now, the fourth one is saying that undertake any of the prohibited activities. So you are not permitted. Simple and short, you are not permitted to work here. Right? As a standard visitor, you are not permitted to work. No. It's not. But you say you are visiting. How can a visitor go and work here? So it's not allowed. And then the E of that appendix V 4.2 is saying that sufficient fund to cover all reasonable costs in relation to your visit. Is that okay? And then how do they measure that? So here comes the bank statement. You see. Once again, the previous video, the short video that I posted here is saying that the applicant says he gets 135,000 Ghana cedis. So it was a Ghana cedi per year. But per what the address that the consular says on the bank statement and the address that the applicant provide in his form differ. There are different two addresses here. So there's no way, it can never happen. Your personal bank statement must contain your address. You see, most of us in Africa, we are not familiar with things like the petty things can just result in the visa refusal. Maybe I may say that, okay, you live at area A and then later you move to area B without you going to the bank to update your details. How come for someone living in area A, whereby your bank address on your bank statement is different from the one you are currently living? No, it doesn't work like that. Is that okay? So in accessing your funds, so you have to make sure you run your bank well-run bank statement. You can watch a video, so many videos on this platform here, for you to learn how to run your bank statement. Is that okay? Now, the next thing here you are going to talk about is the V 4.3. Remember, it's up to 4.6, right? So it's a V 4.3. So V 4.3 here is saying that that's the visitor visa appendix 4.3. So it's saying that in assessing whether the applicant has sufficient fund, look at something. So for the consular to decide, okay, there's enough balance. We have been receiving these questions a lot. Most of time, most. How much do I need in my bank statement to apply for a visa? No. Then listen, here comes your solution. Now, what it means is that in assessing that whether you have a sufficient fund in your account for your visit, it means that the applicant's travel. So it's your statement must cover your travel, right? So your travel. What I mean by your travel is that maybe you say your flight in and out. Is that okay? So the fund in your bank statement must cover that. That is one. And then the maintenance and the accommodation. So accommodation, where are you going to sleep? Your funds must cover that. Your maintenance. So what I mean by the maintenance, it can be classified under your movements in that country. Is that okay? Your stay in that country. Your bank statement must cover that. Right? So it's not just a money. I've seen people that are getting a lot of money in their accounts, but yet their visas are still refused. Right? So that is why you have to genuinely run your bank statement. You can watch our video on our bank statement, or you can just comment down below bank statement. I'll send you that link for you to have a look. Right? Okay. Now here is the way. So someone will ask, what if I have a sponsor? So if you have a sponsor, that's where the third party comes in. So if you have a sponsor here, listen to what they are saying. So according to the appendix 4.3, that is A. If you have a sponsor, so the sponsor here, you must show that the third party has a genuine professional or personal relationship with the applicant. Now, when you talk about a professional relationship, you have to show the relationship with a professional relationship here. It means that for business sake, right? So for business sake, for business purposes. So what is the relationship between you and that business? Is that okay? You must document that. You must show a document that prove that you guys have a business connection. That is one. So when it comes to the friend and the family, so what it means here is that if you're a family, your document mostly we normally use a birth certificate to show that connection, right? For the family. For friends, that is another way around. Is that okay? So you must show evidence between. I quite remember there was an application we ran. The visa was refused by saying that the applicant did not show, even though the person was a Swedish, the person was having a Swedish passport, inviting the in-law here in Ghana, right? So there were pictures between the two of them. There was a letter from the host to the applicant here. But still, they refused that. They didn't show a relationship between the two of them. Where she's going was not reliable. Is that okay? So later, you have to add a birth certificate to the application for us to proceed from there. Right? So that is how you can show a relationship between you and the applicant. So then the B is saying that in not or will not. So it means that the applicant will not be in breach of what immigration laws at the time of the decision or the applicant's entry to the UK as what a visitor. So you have to make sure that the third party must make a statement, must make an oath that he or she is going to make sure that the applicant does not breach any of the laws, right? The immigration laws when he or she granted the visa. Is that okay? So perfect. Those are some of the things you have to take into consideration. So if your colleague is outside, you want the colleagues to invite you on a visitor visa, the person is doing here and there, right? It's not their fault. Is that okay? It's not their fault. You have to understand that you have to take certain things into consideration, provided that you want to travel genuinely. So it means that our third party can or will provide support to the applicant for the intended duration of the applicant's stay as what a visitor. Right? So we support your host, your third party is providing to you maybe an accommodation. The person can take care of your food or maybe your expenses during the UK and the other side. So it must be documented. Is that okay? Alright, so by the way, if you're enjoying this video, don't forget to give us a thumbs up and then subscribe to the channel for more. If you have any special questions, once again, you can comment down below. If you want us any guidelines or any support, you can use our link below this video to reach out to us for a consultation. Remember, time it comes with a fee. Now, appendix V 4.3. 4.3 here is saying that we are done with the 4.3. And then we are moving to 4.4. This is 4.4, right? So 4.4 is saying that the visitor must not intend to A, work, B, study, 3, medical treatment, 4, get married. So these 4 things as I've mentioned under the 4.4 is saying that if you want to do any of this as a visitor to the UK, then there must be an additional document in support of that. So the study as a visitor visa, that you cannot go beyond 6 months, right? You can't go beyond 6 months. So that way there must be a document. So if you fall within these 4 categories, that is a work, you want to go and do some work or something of that nature, let me know in the comment section below, right? So within as a visitor visa, right? So on a standard visitor visa, let me know. Medical treatment, study, or get married. So let me know. Then I will make a separate video on that and then how the documents that you have to add to your application, right? So V 4.5. By the way, if you're able to get a solution to your point at this level, all the best in your visa application. So V 4.5 is saying that permitted activity must not amount to the visitor undertaking employment. You see, the activity, maybe if you are permitted to go and do the medical treatment, study, get married in that country, you cannot go and do otherwise. or you can't go and do other work or that. If you are found, you are going to be in trouble. Now, V4.6 is also saying that no payment for a UK source of any activities undertaken in UK. So you are going as a visitor. So any activities that you are going to take, there's no way you are going to receive any fund, any salary, any amount from the UK source. Is that okay? You can't receive any money from that nature. So you have to make sure that you position yourself genuinely as just a visitor, right? So unless otherwise, you can comment down in the comment section. By the way, if you get some value from this video, give us a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you haven't, and then if you have any special questions, to let me know in the comment section, and then let's see how best we can assist you. All the best in your visa application.